What's going on, everyone? My name's Obi, and welcome back to the Courtside Financial Podcast, the podcast where we talk about business and technology. Today, we've got a couple stories to talk about. We're going to talk about the first joint venture car joint venture bankruptcy of the 21st century. We're going to talk about a partnership that's reshaping the battery landscape. And then we're also going to talk about why timing is literally everything when it comes to automotive, the Chinese EV market, and just EV in general. So here's what happened. GAC Fiat GAC became the first domino to fall, officially filing for bankruptcy after 4 million yuan in rescue attempts was spent. But here's the kicker. This isn't just about one company. This is about the whole joint venture business model collapsing. And it's collapsing under the weight of a rapidly evolving market. So let me paint the picture for you. Back in 2017, GAC Fiat was moving 222,300 units. That's Mercedes C-Class territory in China. They had the SUV boom, the Jeep brand mystique, and that sweet spot pricing around 250,000 yuan. At that time, everything looked pretty golden, but here's where things get interesting from a business perspective. They had what I call the success paralysis. When you're winning, you stop adapting. While Tesla was building their Shanghai Gigafactory in 2018, GAC Fiat wasn't doing much more. GAC Fiat Chrysler, wasn't doing much more than expanding their capacity. They hit 328,000 units of vehicle production capacity, but they were sitting at a 60% utilization rate. That's like building a massive restaurant when people are already switching to food delivery. You're solving yesterday's problems with tomorrow's resources, essentially. The dealer network collapse tells the real story here. Picture this. They had over 400 dealers, but was only selling what BMW sold with 500 dealers at a fraction of the volume. That's a 1.7 inventory ratio, meaning that they were holding 7 times their monthly sales in inventory. Now, as someone who's watched NIO's journey closely, this definitely hits different, because while GAC Fiat Chrysler was playing inventory games with dealers, NIO was completely reimagining the ownership model with battery as a service. And this brings us to the big news that's actually bullish for the entire EV ecosystem. CATL just deepened their strategic partnership with Bankruptcy, NIO's battery asset operator. You dive into the numbers here, they're pretty staggering. Bankruptcy now manages over 27 gigawatt hours of battery assets, serving over 350,000 users. To put that into perspective, that's the equivalent of powering 350,000 homes for a year. But here's the strategic genius though, because this isn't just about batteries. When CATL announced that they were advancing up to 2.5 billion yuan into NIO back in March, they weren't just investing in a company, they were betting entirely on a new business model. Battery swapping isn't just convenient, it's a fundamental shift in how we think about energy infrastructure. Here's what's fascinating about the timing. While traditional models like GAC Fiat Chrysler's joint venture are collapsing under the weight of shareholder disputes and market misalignment, NIO was building something entirely different. Remember the Hycan? That was actually a joint venture between NIO and GAC that launched in 2017. Sales peaked out at 18,559 units back in 2023, then crashed to just 196 units in May 2024. Classic joint venture problems. Unclear value proposition, conflicting strategic goals, and frankly, products that felt like committee design. But here's the difference. NIO learned from that experience. Instead of trying to be everything to everyone, they focused on their core strength: premium service and innovative technology. The Hycan failure actually validated NIO's decision to go it alone on their premium positioning. What's happening here with CATL and Bankruptcy is much bigger than just NIO. This is about creating a backbone for China's entire EV transition. When you have the world's largest battery manufacturer partnering with the most advanced battery swap operator, you're not just building a business. You're building infrastructure that competitors will have to use. Think about this. While traditional automakers were fighting over things like dealer margins and inventory management, NIO was creating an entirely new category. They turned the battery, which is traditionally the most expensive component in an EV, into a service-based business. Now, full disclosure, I'm bullish on NIO, but let's be objective about the challenge. The joint venture model is dying, but it's not dying quietly. We're going to see more bankruptcies, more strategic partnerships, and more foreign automakers trying to figure out how to compete in a market that's moving at a breakneck speed. The GAC Fiat Chrysler joint venture bankruptcy isn't just about one company failing. It's about an entire business model becoming obsolete. When your decision-making process can't keep up with market evolution, you inevitably become a cautionary tale. Here's my take. The companies that survive these transitions are going to be the ones that understand platform thinking. NIO isn't just selling cars, they're selling mobility as a service. The battery swap network, the user community, the seamless ownership experience, that's a platform. Traditional automakers built products. The winners in this new era, they're going to be building ecosystems. The partnership with CATL validates this thesis. When the world's battery giant is willing to invest billions into your platform, that's not just capital, that's strategic validation. As we wrap up this episode, I want you to remember that while market transitions are brutal, they also open up, they showcase opportunities for improvement and for new things to emerge. So GAC Fiat Chrysler's bankruptcy marks the end of an era for some, but partnerships like CATL, Maraudery, NIO represent the beginning of something much bigger. So that's going to be it for this episode of the Courtside Financial Podcast. I hope you found it useful, valuable, insightful, at the very least entertaining. If you found it to be any of those things, make sure you hit the like button, the subscribe button, leave a comment down below, click the notification bell icon. All your engagement really does go a long way in helping out the channel. Thanks for your support, and we'll see you in the next one. Obi signing off. Goodbye.